Welcome to another episode of Talkin Shop, coming live from the WellStack Conference in Scottsdale. We actually haven't started. It's Sunday. We kick off in a few hours. But I have my friend Genti. You got to say the last name for me.
Genti Cici.
Okay. Genti and I met up at Inside ETFs in Montreal this summer, and I was really blown away by his story. Genti has a great passion for financial literacy, so I wanted to have a quick video talking about that. And beforehand, we were talking, we're actually going to do a follow-up podcast episode because this conversation really is probably better suited for an hour. But I wanted to introduce everybody to Genti. I know you're making the rounds and people are meeting you on Twitter, but I wanted to give you a chance to kind of tell your story. We definitely have to hit the RV story and then talk a little bit about kind of where you see financial literacy being able to be fixed, and then we'll pick back up on the podcast. So real quick, why don't you give everybody your background a little bit and then hit the RV story, because I think that's real cool.
All right.
And then we'll go on to the financial literacy stuff.
All right, so I've been a financial planner, advisor for about 15 years now. I have an MBA in finance. Early in my career, we were running kind of a small hedge fund, investment long short, no limits, real estate. So I went and got my Charter Alternative Investment Analyst designation. Recently I also got the CFP. So I've been doing investment advising, financial planning for all that time, and in the last 3 years I started my own company, Stand Up Advisors, and the idea was that I wanted to help more people than we were helping. Of course, we're doing work with high net worth like a lot of advisors are doing, and I realized that that's probably 1 to 5% of the population, and we're leaving out the remaining 95% of the population. So not much was done out there. So the idea was how to do something a little bit out the box out there, and we got an RV, myself and my wife, and the idea was to go around the country, reach out to all colleges and universities, and do a financial literacy event for free. And we did that. A lot of schools picked us up on that. A lot of schools didn't. But I sent over 1,000 cold emails to all kinds of schools out there, and we had some great events. Come in mind, Virginia Tech, University of Miami, Eckerd College, and then at the end on the California side we did Scripps College, which coincided with their own starting of their own financial literacy program of the college itself.
So you helped them, like, inspired them or helped them get that started?
It was a little weird, kind of, because the lady, where I was reaching out to the career center. So I had a little focus. I wasn't just emailing every professor and every person in the college.
Right.
So I was going to a college website and looking at the career center, and then looking at the whoever was in charge, either director, a couple people below the director, and I'll email them. I had a little script that I was sending out, how and what I was doing, and that it was free, that I wasn't selling any product, because it comes out a little bit too good to be true. Free financial literacy, and
advisors are always selling something.
There's always something happening there. So and then this lady reached out to me and she said, we were thinking about exactly this, and I got your email and I thought it was a sign, so I had to reach back. That's Scripps College.
Awesome.
In California. And I reached back to her. I sent her the presentation up front because there was still a little skepticism, maybe rightfully so. And then we did a great event, oversold the area that they had, the career center. We did it there. More than, I think, 40 students came up. And it was like the launching of their own financial literacy program at the university.
And your focus for the university was more for the students, not so much for staff?
It was for students and staff.
Okay.
Staff sat on it. I mean, the principles apply to everybody.
Right.
And I tried to put as many principles, starting from budgeting, from investments, from overall planning, that I could in 1 hour. More than 1 hour, focus drops, and then I left it open for questioning with no judgment. And that was one thing that the director said after the fact. She said, because I got a lot of questions from the students, and she's like, I like that you weren't judgmental, that the questions weren't like stupid. They're like, I know that's what I'm here doing. There's no stupid questions, and that's why I'm doing this, because people don't know, and that's why I'm trying to help out. So the idea was to do the RV trip for about a year, plus minus. We had no. The plan was fairly vague. I learned a lot from that you cannot have 100%. There's no way any plan with more than 50%, if you have a little gut feeling and a passion, just go for it. That's what I would recommend to other people. So we only had one event planned when we left, the Virginia Tech one. So we went south, we did that, and then we're just, okay, we'll see what happens. And then we left in the winter of 2017, February, and then we went towards Florida south, a little bit of warm weather. We got snow the first night. We had no idea what to do in a very thinly insulated RV. It was a brand new RV, but still they're not insulated as homes. We figured it out. It was no big deal, but like, you know, the whole adventure of RVing mixed with financial literacy was something that both myself and my wife will always remember.
So if you had to pick one moment from that trip, what was the most memorable moment or most impactful moment from that trip?
You should have asked me that before.
I wanted to catch you.
So a couple things were about RVing that stood out. One, we were driving up Smoky Mountains, and it was very windy road and tough, but you know, I pretend to be a good driver. I was okay, and the RV was 32 feet long. We also towed a small car. We got a Fiat 500 towed behind that with a tow bar, and the car, all in, they were more than, give or take, about 50 feet long. So we're going up there, and we also had, I think we have video of that. We're videotaping. My wife was like this. Now we're going up the hill, and I'm trying to make turns, and the car's coming in. It was a little bit where my heart was a little bit pumping, but other than that, the driving was, I got the hang of it at the very beginning. Was a little bit of getting by truckers. Actually, you'd get pushed, things that I learned on the go. As a trucker comes and passes you by, you get pushed, forms a little wind tunnel, push to the right, and then when he leaves you, when he passes you on the left, then you get a little pull, pulls you to the left. So that was the first long trip we did from Pennsylvania to Virginia, and I'm like, why am I being pushed? And I'm like, the trucks are pushing me, and they're pulling me back. So I learned to adjust, to counter that. So that was on the driving slash, I mean, we got our pipes frozen in Colorado. We got 5-6 inches of snow there. I mean, adventure, all kinds of adventure that never expected, but that's the fun of it, the unexpectedness of the trip.
As you're telling that story, like the parallels to being a financial advisor and doing financial planning are right there. Like you've got your game plan, but then you got the truck come along that's life blowing your plan off, and you got to
left and right, and you have to adapt, and you have to change, and you have to pivot at times. But I think, and we talked a little bit earlier about this, one thing that we should be doing, and there shouldn't be any pivot, is integrity. We should lead with integrity. We should lead with transparency, because what I learned out from the trip is that people are completely clueless, but that was going to be okay if they had no idea and there was somebody there to help them. But they also don't have much trust about our profession as a whole. We've
earned it.
Yeah, I mean, 2008, 2009, one of the things that bothered me the most was I was talking to I don't even remember who he was now, but just stuck out as this person that when I told him what I was, and I said financial advisor, he asked me, what do you do? And he said, oh, you're one of those guys. And that bothered me. I'm like, what do you mean one of those guys? What guys? But I knew what he meant.
So at the time I worked, the 403B company I worked for was owned by AIG. So not only were you one of those guys because you're a financial advisor, I was one of those guys because my company was owned by AIG, who took the bailout that made everybody off.
The financial industry the whole system for
everybody. I was that guy even more.
And it bothered me because I actually wasn't that guy. For a very small period of time, way more than 10 years ago, I worked for an insurance company for about 9 months, where, as I mentioned earlier, I was research focused from the very beginning. So I was looking, when people weren't asking about what's this annuity, I was reading into the prospectuses and looking at the fees, and I'm like, is this really, does this add up? Yes, it does for select people, but does it add up to everybody that we're trying to sell it? So it was a 9-month period, and then since then I've been only fiduciary, full fiduciary. And that's another thing for me to say full fiduciary. You shouldn't be able to say I'm a full doctor. I'm a doctor, right? Full fiduciary shouldn't exist, because what I'm making a way to separate it is from somebody who's also a fiduciary and as well as not a fiduciary. The same person can be both, double heading, and we know what that means, but people don't know out there. And everybody's using the same titles, financial advisor, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? And
as we were talking
use
about
the air quotes financial advisors, and be like, that's not fair.
Right. And what we were talking about is not that like obviously we've structured our firms to be certain ways, but I'm also not the type of person who's going to say my way is the only way.
Exactly.
Like there are sales advisors that do a good job, and there are people who might need that. So rather than advisors beating each other up over business models, just have it transparent so the public can identify, oh, you are a sales advisor.
Exactly.
You are a fiduciary advisor.
Right.
So, and then let them make the decision of what they think is best for their needs.
Exactly.
Rather than having the air quotes that encompanies everything.
Exactly. And some of the examples I put out there is that we are selling advice or product, but it's an intangible thing, right? You don't touch it, you don't feel it, you don't get to see it, you don't get to compare it. So people don't have that knowledge. One thing that is definitely, as you mentioned, be a salesperson, sell. Somebody needs that product, give advice. Somebody needs the advice. Just make it clear who you are and what you're doing. Right. That's it. Because if we keep it like mixing and matching, then we're losing trust for everybody. It's like we have to be very specific, and most people don't have the time to really read through your ADV and be like, I'm sorry, but what do you specifically do? Are you also affiliated with a broker dealer? Nobody knows that. We don't even know ourselves.
Right.
Recently, I read somebody that I knew that advisor was fee only because I read their ADV. I knew they were fee only. But on their website, they put fee based. The advisor himself. And fee based is another way of saying it's shortened. It's fee and commission based, right? Fee based, and he advertised himself as fee based when he was fee only. Right?
So he's even confused.
Right. The
advisor.
The advisors are confused themselves, either that or they don't know whoever wrote that piece of marketing that he had on the website. I knew the person. Reading from the ADV, you can understand their business model. I knew they were fee only, but they were marketing as fee based. So that's the confusion that not only the people have, but the advisors have. And that's what I'm trying to, there is ways for everybody to do a business. Just be clear and transparent and educate people and tell them how you're getting paid, compensated.
Right.
Who's paying you.
And this is the conversation we're going to carry forward on the podcast. Because as you see, there's so much to talk about.
Much longer.
You've got your Pentagon that I want to dive into on the podcast.
The Pentagon.
I want to end with one of the things that I respect just from our few engagements is you're very passionate about this. There are a lot of people who are passionate about things, whether it's financial literacy or whatever it might be, but very few people actually act upon it.
Right.
They're all talk. You are not all talk. So you were telling me of a couple of initiatives that you've rolled out. Put those out there so whether it's advisors watching or consumers watching can find out about it.
Right.
I'll link to it all in the show notes, and then we'll take this bigger conversation about how we fix financial literacy, the problems with our profession. That'll be on the podcast. But let's end with the things that you've put out there to actually help people in the way that in the area you're so passionate about.
So let me just add one quick
thing,
30 seconds before we get to that one. So about 4 years ago, more or less, I don't know, we're at the conference, edf.com, and that's where I met, or didn't meet, but that's where I saw Josh Brown.
Yep.
He was speaking, and one of the things that, I don't focus too much on the financial parts. Most of that we know what's happening. But he suggested a book there, The Go-Giver. And that was during the time that I was thinking about the RV, and I got The Go-Giver, I got it on Audible, and I listened to it, and that was the final. It was already planned. My RV trip was going to happen no matter what. But there was a little thing that I'm like, I'm here, I'm listening to this, I get the book, I listen to the book, and this is something that you have to give first before you even expect anything to receive or anything back. So that was kind of like the thing that made me go out there and give first and do the financial literacy trip. Don't charge anything for it. And the couple initiatives that you brought up. So after the trip, I thought how to memorialize this from what I did. So I created an online school financial literacy program that is out there. And for everybody that's listening to this podcast, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to give you all the links to be for free for the whole month of September.
Okay.
So go in there. It's $500 typically. I videoed about 15 modules, about 15 to 20 minutes each particular topic on financial planning. Technically, you can listen to that and do your own financial plan. If you don't want to hire any of us, I think it's well worth it. Completely biased on what I just said, but I'm going to put it out there for free. Anybody's listening, there's nothing that's holding you back. If any money was holding somebody back, it's free.
And financial advisors, if you have somebody who comes in your office that is not a good fit but needs some help,
sure.
So I want to make this class known, and I want Genti to regret that he's giving it away for free,
It's
which I know you're not. I know that's not you. Jokingly, I want you to look and say, "Oh, this is how much I gave up." I know that would make you happy.
That's all right.
The more that you give away, I think the happier you'd be.
I feel good about it.
Let's spread the word on
the
that.
month of September will be free. Spread it out. And then the second thing that I built on my own, I built a software, financial planning software, that, as we talked earlier, technically most planners, and we have some is going to come up here, may not like what I did, but they sell a financial planning software to advisors, and then we make our work, and then we sell a service and advice to our clients. But what about the clients that cannot afford us? So I wanted to bypass that, make it simple. So I devised and I created an online software, financial planning software, that anybody can go out there, and in a matter of 10 to 15 minutes, technically a budgeting with sliders, assets, liabilities, and your budgeting, and you get a full financial plan. Comes via email, and it comes within 10 seconds. So it gets customized based on the numbers that you put in, and it will tell you what it is, like the particular topic, what to do about it, and where to do it. So if you can read, it will just tell you step by step how to do it, and do it on your own.
Right.
So that one is my thing, that I don't want to just talk about it. I want to provide some kind of a software. You know, maybe we can't just give all our time away, but like some kind of software that is out there that people directly can go and get a financial plan on their own. And you haven't tried it out. I'm gonna try it out. Yeah, I'll send you the link so you can.
I mean, again, clients sometimes come in, it's not a good fit. Like they don't need the services we're providing yet, or they're better off taking the money that they would be paying us and putting it towards their plan. But they need a guide. And to your point, we can't help everybody. But there are people that want help, aren't ready yet, and something like this gives them the direction. And also, I think that,
and they can ask more if they want a little bit more. They can see how it is. We haven't made it clear, in my opinion, we haven't made it clear to most people, what we actually do and how we provide that service. So at least with this financial planning software, I had it live on the website, so you could just go and do it. Now I took it off because it got hacked, and it got hacked. I don't know if I'm going to connect it to what I just did, but I applied to the Y Combinator with the software, and a week after I applied, it got hacked. I don't know, and I got somebody to find out. There was a lot of stuff from China. I don't know where it was connected, but it was big time hack, so I pulled it down. But I have the link. It's just you cannot access it directly from my website. The website is standupadvisors.com. More info in there, but I'll give you all the links so you can. And if somebody wants that software directly, you can just contact me and I'll just give it to them. Again, that one is free. I had some ideas about making it free up to a certain amount of wealth, but then I thought about it. As some people that have money that just want to see what's out there. So I'm just going to keep it free indefinitely for anybody that just wants to reach out.
So back to the Go Giver. I read that a long time ago. And actually, for new members in our advisor growth community, one of their questions when they joined was, what was the book? Go Giver was very popular. But I operate in the mindset, and I had this before reading Go Giver, but if you do good things, everything comes full circle. So by giving this software, yes, you could charge for this financial planning software, but I think by giving it for free, you're helping more people, and that universe, God, whatever you want to attribute it to, you're going to be repaid more.
I think so, and even if I don't, that's totally fine. I just think that what we're doing as an industry should not be just for the top 1% or 5% or 10%.
Because honestly, they don't even, I mean, they need it, but they need it for different reasons. The people who are going to benefit from your stuff actually need it to
90% of the population that we're not actually targeting. There's a lot of initiatives, as you know, charge $100, $200 a month, but I think we haven't proven ourselves to the majority of people the value that we're providing and who we are and what we can do. And I think with integrity, I keep saying that, and I even mentioned this conference will probably be called in the future, my idea, integrity and technology, not investment, because investment will be all into technology part. That's why integrity, education, and giving back. I think over time, that's how we'll build and get trust back.
All right, that's a perfect spot to end. I keep on looking at the camera. We're at 19 minutes. My camera's going to shut off soon. So we're going to end that video here. Genti, thanks for taking the time to talk about all this.
Thanks for having me.
All the links will be in the show notes on allaboutyourbenjamins.com, and a podcast is going to be scheduled after we get done with the video to be able to elaborate more on this talk and have a bigger conversation about financial literacy. So thanks for joining me. Everybody, make sure you follow him. Doing great work, very genuine, and the reasons behind it are all for the right reasons, which is what I love. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you. Thanks, Justin.
Awesome.
it.